Okay, so in the first question, coming to the questions now. This is like, I think you shouldn't be giving this much time to one passage because that is the only thing you need to take care of the time when you're solving any kind of case study, caselet, or comprehension. So the first question is the Indian law regarding the case is
A.
A.
Liability.
yeah, it's given in the first paragraph. Then you have it again in this paragraph. Okay. Who is the owner of the dog?
Vijay.
Vijay.
Yeah.
Regarding this case, Ramesh's parents,
B.
B, would succeed in the claim.
Yeah, B.
Which of the following statements is true?
C.
C. And the last one, while the dog lost his cool?
A ball hit the dog.
C.
C, a ball hit the dog. So, like this one you saw, it's a very, very easy passage. So, if you give it so much time to read, it's not, gonna give you, like, you won't be left with enough time for the difficult one. So, maybe skim through the questions also sometimes. In this case, like when you see the questions are not complicated, you could just give the paragraph a very quick reading. It's like, like you're not taking in all the information, you're just reading it at the get go. So that speed has to be there. This one is a very, very short paragraph. So just quickly. It shouldn't take more than like 1 or 2 minutes for any passage, which is this small. I mean, the bigger ones will take all of your time. And I would suggest like always go to the bigger passages first and then come back to the smaller ones because your mind won't be boggled otherwise. It gets tired if you tend to do the smaller ones. You'll get tired with too much information on different topics. So it's better to go with the bigger ones first and then you go with the smaller ones. Are we done?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
In this case, the contract is
Void.
the correct answer is
Illegal.
void ab initio, which means void from the starting, or you can say invalid from the get go. This one. If this option was not there, then it will be void. Okay. Next one, write the appropriate answer.
B.
B is correct. Pawan will succeed because he was intoxicated at the time, and the law doesn't act like the act is not binding on him. Who agreed to sell his bike?
Pawan. A.
Correct. Contract made by a person who's so intoxicated is
B.
not binding on him. Pawan filed a case on the ground of intoxication, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Moving on to the third one.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Moving to the question. Sadberry is engaged in the manufacturing of
Chocolates.
Chocolate.
chocolates. What was the scheme?
Option A.
Exchange of say 6 wrappers would get a
Yes.
mobile.
That's the correct one. Exchange of 6 wrappers would get a mobile. Choose the appropriate answer.
Option C.
C.
Sadberry will not be liable.
Option A.
Option C. Sadberry will not be liable since it was only a promotional offer and not a binding one. But they'll have to give consideration. So option C. Next one. What do you mean by consideration?
Option B.
B. A or B.
Option
Option A.
A. Consideration is the value paid for the promise. It's given in the passage. Like if you go back, it's given right here. Okay? Hmm. The last one. The shopkeeper was
Not aware of the scheme of the company.
Option A.
not aware of this. Coming to the last case study.
Basic aptitude also, maths and all. Like these chapter, speed, distance, time, work and time.
Okay, so are we done?
Yes.
Come to the first question. When a contract is formed,
After
Option
acceptance
B.
of an offer.
after acceptance of an offer. In this case, is Rajiv liable to pay the amount? Guys? Which one? Option A?
Option A.
Option A is correct. Third one, Rajiv.
Ma'am, how?
Rahul claims check cancellation amount from Rajiv on the ground that he has refused to honor his offer. So because Rajiv has refused to honor the offer, so he'll have to give back the amount, right? Then we come to third one. Rajiv is a wholesale dealer, has a departmental store, is a retail shopkeeper. What is the correct one?
A.
An A.
He's a wholesale dealer.
Wholesale leader.
Yeah. Acceptance of an offer is complete when this is repeated. Or what? No, right?
B.
It's an A.
Okay, yeah. That was different. B. Communication of the same is completed.
Hmm.
Sandeep is a dealer of?
Soft drink.
Soft drink.
That is correct. Now let's come to the difficult part, like the part you guys were having an issue with, which was decision making, right?
Yes,
Hmm.
yes. Ma'am.
Yeah. So I think we'll start with an easier one, then we'll pick up the bigger ones. So this is one big one. So let's go to the second one first. First, you should know which options are which. So you should choose A if it's a major objective, which is basically it is either the result or it is a direct goal. So in those two cases, it will be a major objective in making the decision. Then you have B option, which is the major factor in arriving at a decision. Basically, if you have a direct reason that will affect the decision taken, then it will be a major factor. Minor factor would be an indirect reason. So, like when you are looking at a reason, think of it whether it's going to affect it directly or it's going to affect the decision indirectly. A major assumption is something which is something that you assume basically, or like you suppose, but there should be some evidence supporting it. It shouldn't be like the last one is the unimportant issue, which is not going to have any kind of effect in the decision taken. So keep these options in mind because like you just choose A, B, C, D for the next set of questions. So let's go to case let 2 first. Please read quick. I'll give you 3 minutes. This you should give a little time because you are supposed to answer the questions based on the logic given in the paragraph. First, try to determine what is the decision being taken. Then try to like figure out what is the objective of the passage. And thereon we can go on to the next set of questions. Because sometimes they're not even going to ask about the objective, major objective or something. They might just give you only the major factors in the questions or assumptions.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, does these kind of questions are important for NIFT also?
Yeah, they are. They are.
Okay, ma'am.
Are you asking regarding BDES or BF Tech or MDES?
Ma'am, BDES.
BDES, I think situations are not there in your course syllabi, the caselets. It's only for masters and the B Tech people.
Okay, ma'am.
BFT, that is. Okay.
Anything, it's fine. So, this is your part is done, because this is the now, it is 20, so if you want it 8 by the 8 you can do all the resources, whatever you want to recommend, the model, protocol, everything you have to do, you have to do the
Done?
Whatever you suggestions are, just
1 minute.
Okay.
take your time. If you are taking more time to be expecting, and that is also fine. You see. Okay. So I just want to finish it, I just want to do everything that I have to, according to what we decide. We have to send a bill to the hotel also, that we need to, every area they have different manager. So we have to inform the hotel team also, we are just trying to see, this kind of gathering, so they should be aware about it, we need to have. And I need to inform them, just keep checking. Oh,
How about now?
Done, ma'am.
Okay. What do you think is the decision being taken here? Guys, what is the decision being taken here? Come to the third line. Sources said that the recent decision to put a price cap on this. This is the recent decision. Also, this. So, thinking about steps to ensure that companies maintain present level of outputs of these critical drugs. So after having recognized what is the decision, now let's come to the question. The first one is government taking steps to maintain the present level of output of these critical drugs. So what does this become?
Major factor.
What?
Major factor or objective.
Why is there a confusion? It should be clear because this is directly affecting the decision. Is it directly affecting the decision or is this the goal? That should be the differentiation. This is a major objective. Is that clear why? Anybody? You have to talk in order to solve this. If you agree, disagree, tell me something.
Yes, ma'am. Agreed.
Ma'am.
Right? Now let's come to the second one. Companies retaliating with decreased production. What should this be? The fear of companies retaliating with decreased production revolves around the fact that price control would check profit margins.
Assumption, major assumption.
It's not an assumption because that's the main thing. Like the manufacturers do not want to do that. Like here, again, we have it again. Like you have more than one time mentioned. Here also they're mentioning was accompanied by a concern that the manufacturers could lose interest in these medicines owing to reduced margins of profit. So an assumption won't be in the passage occurring so many times unless it's of a like great import to the passage, they're not going to give it so many times. And this is the main aim. They want to maintain the present level of output of these critical drugs. So, whether the companies take this decision of retaliating or not would majorly affect the decision. So, it will be a major factor because you have evidence of it occurring over and over again, and there is clear, like, it is pretty clear that if the companies retaliate, it's going to, like, the law is not going to stay in effect, like, it's not going to be useful.
And what's the answer for first question?
The
Objective,
first
right?
question is the major objective, which is A major objective. Second one would be a major factor.
Okay.
Now we come to the third one, to ensure that accessibility and availability of does not go down. This you can say is a major assumption because there's no clear set path on how they'll achieve that. It's just as senior officials comment. Next one, government controls the prices of 74 bulk drugs and their formulation.
Minor factor.
What is it?
Minor factor.
Minor factor is correct. Your sound is not coming clearly. I couldn't hear you the first time.
Sorry, ma'am.
Anyhow, that is a minor factor. Coming to, you want to do the bigger passage right now? Or like, should we finish the smaller ones and then keep these two for the last?
Yes.
Okay. It's huge, so let's just go to the last one, which is a smaller one. Quickly read it. But pay attention to the decision and everything happening here.
So we now on full time. The BPRP has ended. Students are still joining from the
Excuse me.
earlier also I think my union has joined.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, are we done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, if you find solid evidence, it's a major factor. If you do not find solid evidence, it's not a major factor. Then it becomes an assumption. But if you have a little bit of information, then it's probably a minor factor. And it's indirectly affecting the decision. I'm repeating so that you remember in case of this. Okay. The first one is increase in farming in the Hilldale area.
Major factor. Major objective.
Factor.
No. Major objective would be something related to his trying to increase the store space or like trying to buy the property
Okay, ma'am.
to like, you know, extend his business. So this would be a major factor because of the increase in farming in the Hilldale area, he can start a new line of farm equipment and repair parts.
Okay, ma'am.
Also, this is one reason, like because more people are taking.
Major factor.
Yeah,
Major
this
factor,
is the major
objective,
factor.
and decision. Major factor.
What? There is a major factor. It starts with the major objective. Then you have a major factor. Then you have a minor factor. Then you have a major assumption. A major assumption would also affect the decision. So always keep that in mind. Like, and if that is not there, then it's irrelevant. So
Yes, ma'am. I got confused between all those.
okay, it's okay. If you practice more, I think it'll come. Next one, acquisition of property for expanding the store.
Major
The first one answer is
Objective.
Huh?
the answer for the first one is
The answer for the first one is major factor.
One is major objective.
Major objective is the expansion of store.
Yeah, second one.
So yeah. Major objective is the expansion of store, but acquisition of property for expanding the store would be your major factor.
Two major factors in one paragraph.
You can have four major factors also. Do not get confused like that.
Okay.
So like it's possible to have major factors and nothing else.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Third one, loss of Johnson's property. It should be loss.
Minor factor.
What?
Yeah.
Minor factor.
Minor factor.
But if you consider this line here, North felt that Johnson would be willing to sell the property at reasonable terms. He's not
Assumption.
talked to him yet.
Major assumption.
Yeah, so he's not talked to him yet.
Hmm.
So it's an assumption.
Okay.
Then fourth one, state of Johnson's grocery business.
Minor factor.
Yeah. It's not a minor factor because we have evidence clear cut given here. Johnson's business had been on decline over a year. Like we have a lot of evidence. He's just not talked to him yet. That's why it becomes an assumption. But the state of Johnson's grocery business is one reason he's thinking of taking up his place, right? So his plan of expanding his business by taking Johnson's store depends on this situation of Johnson's grocery business. That's why it becomes a major factor. It'll affect the decision that he takes majorly.
Okay.
He'll have to look for new options if this doesn't happen, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Now let's do the big ones. I'll give you like 5 minutes to go through this.
Ma'am, can you scroll it back? I missed a line.
Are we done? Let me know when you are.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Everybody else is done too, I hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go to the first one. So, what is the decision first? Or like what is the decision they want to take?
Expand the business.
Yeah, that is correct. And maximize the profit. Expansion of the business and maximization of profit is the main goal. I mean, the decision. So the first one is the cost of securing a loan. Will it be a major factor or a minor factor?
Major factor.
Major.
Yeah, because he needs capital to expand production. And then the profit would be decided upon that. Then you have high breakage rate of glass bottles.
Minor factor.
Okay, we have this given in the paragraph, right?
Yes.
See, if you see this, as soon as the juices were bottled in plastic containers, sales could also be made to household consumers. So that is expansion of business happening directly there. Also, where is the breakage wala thing?
Below advertising. And that category.
Yep, this one. The juice was distributed in glass bottles, which proved to be rather expensive because of high breakage.
Okay.
So he has a product that's selling well, but because of the packaging is a huge issue here. And then this entire paragraph is dedicated to how if the packaging is changed, it will be beneficial for him. So it becomes a major factor.
Major factor.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then you have expansion of the business.
Major objective.
Major
That is a
objective.
major objective. Continued demand by the public for Mr. Deepak's orange juice.
Major assumption.
That is a major assumption. Then you have possibility of doubling sales through expanded distribution.
Major assumption.
Assumption.
But we have proof for that, no? This is one of the plans, like courses of plan that he can take.
But it is
Expand the business.
possibility is written. That means it's not sure 100%.
But if we go by like what has been happening in the past couple of years, we have the evidence. So in business, usually if you have past data, that is also considered evidence, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
That's why it's a major objective. Sorry, major factor. My bad. So continued demand by public for Mr. Deepak's orange juice. Oh, sorry, this one was like possibility of doubling sales through expanded distribution would be a major factor. If we didn't have any other data like that his sales have been increasing over time, then it would be another case. Okay, next one. Previous use of Mr. Deepak's building as a woodworking shop.
Option E.
Option E,
Negligible.
unimportant issue.
Yes.
Like it's not relevant to the topic at all.
Yes.
Then you have 10% return on investment. This one. The critical deciding factor.
Major
Factor.
factor.
It's a major objective. I told you the expansion of the business and return on investment was what he was looking for, right? Here they say the critical deciding factor.
So it's a factor, right?
Yeah, but the decision has to, like, it's a goal seeked by the decision, a direct goal. I mentioned that also, no, when I was describing. So even if it's the major goal that they're looking for, a very direct goal they're looking at, that also is your major objective. Objective is a goal. Is it clear?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sixth one is not clear.
Sixth one is not clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So Mr. Deepak's building was being used as a woodworking shop.
Hmm.
That is not relevant to the decision being taken, which is to expand your production and getting the return on investment, right? So that is not going to be affected by what that building was used as earlier. That's why it's unimportant issue.
Okay.
Then you have small scale of current advertising. It's okay if it's wrong, just say something.
Major factor?
But do we have that much evidence to call it a major factor?
An important statement.
It's minor factor.
Okay.
There's only one line given about it, right? Distribution and advertising. Then you have value of patent held by Mr. Deepak.
Minor factor.
Yes, the minor factor. Then you have Mr. Deepak's current level of sales.
Major
Major
factor.
factor.
Objective. Major objective.
It's not the objective. Mr. Deepak's current level of sales. This is the current sale, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
It's a major factor. Wait, no, it's a minor factor. It's not a major factor. His current sales are not going to affect the expansion directly. It'll be the future sales that will decide, right?
Hmm.
Or the investment. Now let's go to the last one. This is going to be, this is going to take a while. So just let me know when to scroll up. Should I scroll up?
Yes, sir.
Guys? Yeah? I'll scroll up, right?
Yes. No, ma'am, I was reading the second paragraph.
I'll scroll up.
one you can scroll.
Done, ma'am.
Done.
Okay. Okay. Let's come to the first one. Ability of Ashoka Enterprise to survive if the $5 million loan is provided.
Major objective.
Major assumption. Assumption.
Okay, let's wait, guys. Okay, tell me what is the decision?
To increase the exports.
No.
Foreign exchange in the country.
The decision is to be taken by government. Okay. So government is the decision taker here. And the decision is whether they should support this company or they shouldn't.
Hmm.
So like whether they should give them a loan, this here, right here. So this is what they have to decide about, whether they should help this company out or just like let go. Because what is happening is there is high unemployment and they cannot afford to do that. So they have to like consider all the options, whether the company has, you know, all the promises it made, has it like fulfilled them, and if it has fulfilled them, like all the pros and cons they have to keep in their mind, and then decide whether they should support the company further or draw their support back. So that is the decision that this passage is talking about. Okay, is that clear now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, great. Now think about it from that perspective. From the government's perspective, think of these. Okay. So the first one, ability of Ashoka Enterprise to survive if the $5 million plan loan is.
Assumption.
Major assumption.
Yes, that's the major objective.
Objective, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, why is it the major objective? Because if they provide you the $5 million loan, then it won't have to face any consequences, the government, as the company will keep going on and the people who are employed there will stay there. That is what it wants, right?
Ma'am, but in the last paragraph, they've told now that they have not kept any of the promises, so they'll not lend
Yeah,
any loan or anything.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. But now, when we go to the entire passage, okay, so we have to think about the government's aspect also, like why it wants this to succeed. Like, if the production is seized, a lot of people are going to be unemployed. The company employed 500 workers, quite a few shopkeepers were depending on their patronage. It's a small country and like they have a high unemployment rate. They mentioned it like at least two times above.
Yes,
Sure.
ma'am.
Sure, you have it, right? So new industries are there, like didn't even consider getting the foreign investment earlier, but because they had high unemployment rate, they wanted to do this. Then again, when they were providing support to this particular company, it was also based on their promise that they will provide employment to the people over here. Here, like among other things, to employ 100 workers to reduce the price of shoes. Well, all of these were their promises, and employment, production of export output being increased. Those were all the goals the government was seeking. Hence, it is your, what is it? Ability.
Objective, major objective.
It's a major objective. It's clear, right? You're not confused.
Ma'am, I'm still confused.
Okay, okay. Let's go over
Yes,
it.
ma'am, even I'm still confused.
Let's go over it again. Okay. So, what is the tone of the passage? What do you get? Like, what are we talking about?
That foreign exchange is needed. High import, high imports are there, but less export.
Yeah. So, they're trying to, like, for a developing country, it's important to, like, improve its economic condition, right? So, that's why they started accepting foreign investment because that will contribute to the economic development of their country. Okay. That's how it started. Then they're giving you other reason why they need foreign exchange badly. In the second passage, mainly that is that. Then you have like why government tried to support Ashoka Enterprise because of these promises. So this is what they've given, all of this. So if you look at it from the government's point of view,
But it's still the probability now that if they give $5 million loan, we don't know that it will succeed or not.
yeah, that is definitely there. But right now, in the last line, the decision, the government felt that it had to make a quick decision in such a way to avoid criticism from the opponent. So, this decision that the government has to take, which hasn't been taken, is the decision we're talking about, which is the gist of the para. And this decision is whether to grant the loan or not.
Okay.
This, if the government could grant such a loan, then another alternative was to purchase the company at a reasonable price. This is what the company is offering, right? The company has given these two options to the government. So it has to decide between these two or decide whether it doesn't want to support the company at all. So that is the decision we're arriving at. That's why the first question, ability of Ashoka Enterprise to survive if the $5 million loan was approved, is the major objective of this.
Okay, ma'am. Got it.
Is it clear now? I hope so.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Now the next one, high unemployment in Bhutan. I think
Major factor.
I gave you enough evidence for this, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then
What's the
dependence. What?
answer for the second
It's a major factor.
major
Major
factor?
factor.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one, dependence of shopkeepers on the existence of Ashoka Enterprises.
Unimportant issue.
No. It's not
No,
unimportant.
minor factor.
It is a minor factor because it's mentioned, right? It's given.
But how can it be a factor?
I'll tell you. The company employed 500 workers and quite a few shopkeepers were dependent upon their patronage here. So we have evidence, but it's not a lot of evidence, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
That's why it's a minor factor. Then you come to availability of government funds needed to support the company. Now think about it, like we've been thinking about it from whose perspective? The person who has to take the decision,
Government.
right? So the
Government.
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 Think of all of these questions from that perspective only. Now the next one is availability of government funds needed to support the company.
Major factor.
How? Like where are
Major assumption.
yeah, it is a major assumption because nowhere in the passage we have a mention of how much fund does the government have or like does it even have that much, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a major assumption. Then the last one, piling up of request by Ashoka Enterprise to join union management.
Unimportant issue. No? Minor factor?
Can be because like it's because
It's
when you
given in the
have
passage.
you have this. Then another alternative was to purchase company at a reasonable price. And then you have this over here. At any rate, the union claimed that the company must first submit its request to a joint union management grievance committee, which was authorized under the current labor agreement to deal with such disputes. But there is no mention of whether it was approved or are they like considering it or is it gonna happen?
So is it an assumption?
Minor?
Major
No.
assumption.
Major assumption.
Ma'am,
Yeah, tell me.
in the first point, if
Yeah,
we take from the government's point of view also,
yeah.
Shoka Enterprises was bankrupt, it failed, right? So
Yeah.
अशोका एंटरप्राइजेस ने कहा था कि उनके पास दो ऑप्शंस हैं
Huh.
the $5 million loan or the company should be purchased in a reasonable price.
Yeah.
So when the special committee was hired
Hmm.
to look after it, so we got to know that Ashoka Enterprises has not fulfilled any of the promises. Then why would they still offer that $5 million plan? Won't it be an assumption only?
See, there are 500 people employed by the company, right? And like all over the passage, we have this like the Bhutan is a country who's like struggling, then they need for investment, they need employment. Like, so all of that you cannot ignore, right?
Hmm.
So, as government, I cannot ignore that. I have to consider that also. I have to consider what the opposition has to say also.
Okay.
That's why it is the major decision here. The major objective is like whether like it will be they're trying to figure out whether like if they give them the loan and they survive, like would all of these problems that they're facing will they be solved? So that's why it's a major goal of the thing.
Okay. Okay.
Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, guys, that is it for this. I think now you do not have issues with caselets, but if there is any caselet that you're facing specific issues with, you can always like send it to me and I'll help you out.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Good night.